So it finished Forest 0, Fulham 1. The streak is over, and there are a lot of varying opinions on the panel. Welcome to Grumpy Old Reds. Good morning, good evening, or good night. Hope you guys are doing well, and welcome to the breakdown, I guess, of Forest 0, Fulham 1. Hope you guys are all well. Hope you've had a good weekend. Mine's cheered up a little bit. Southgate, you can save them. You can save them. And I've now discovered I hate Man U more than I hate Spurs. But anyway, that's not for a Forest stream. If you're enjoying the content, as always, please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. And can we look, before we start talking all football matters, it's great to see our boy Ant back. And I know you probably got a couple of words for the chat, and we love you, mate. We hope you and Nathan and the rest of your family are getting through this, but it's good to have you back, buddy.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody that left a message. Your thoughts meant the world to me. It really does help. We built such a wonderful community here, and when I looked at the community tab and read through the comments on there were a lot of comments on there from people that obviously watches regularly but don't join in the chat, and it was nice to see so many, for me, so many new people on there, you know, wishing as well, and it means the world to us. Yeah, it's difficult. We all know. We don't need to bang on about it. Forest didn't help yesterday, unfortunately, but you know, that's life. And yeah, we're pushing through. And once my mum's funeral is over with, then I feel like I'll be able to, you know, not put it behind me, but you know what I'm saying. It'll be easier once that's done. But thank you for everybody. Thank you for your wonderful warm wishes. It meant the world.
Well said.
Just to help you through this, Ant, I'm gonna jump straight on your back. So no going easy on you. I read your tweet,
I wouldn't want to.
I read your tweet, mate.
Yeah.
And I'll quote this to the chat that haven't seen it. If you're not following Ant, what's your thingy? At FFTV_Forest_Ant, probably the longest handler in the world. And he says, and I quote, "That was a truly shocking performance from the Reds. No MGW, not an excuse. The fault lies entirely with the manager. Wrong team selection, wrong formation, wrong tactics, super settings. I shall elaborate on GOR tomorrow night. It won't be pretty." Elaborate away, my friend.
Okay. Well, first of all, look, for the sake of balance, let's get, you know, through the good points first, and then we'll move on to the not so good things. Right. Now we've done that, the bad side of the match. Okay. Now this is not 2020 vision. This is not, what's the word I'm looking for?
Hindsight.
Look back. Hindsight. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you. This is not hindsight.
Let me back as well. Shout out, let me.
This is not hindsight. Before the game, I think everybody, I don't think I was alone in this, we looked at that side and was absolutely baffled by it. You know, we're playing at home against a team that's a good team. They're a good team, but a team that we should expect to be able to play the game on our terms, not theirs. We shouldn't feel inferior to them and have to adjust to theirs. So like most people, I couldn't understand why we were playing with no wingers, with a 4-4-2. But I did say, and I sent Wolfie a message saying, well, let's see how it goes, because it might be brilliant. But it wasn't. It was truly, truly awful. I want somebody to explain to me, and I'm going to come to Lemmy for this, because you know, he thinks it was a good idea. I want someone to explain to me why against Fulham we decided that sitting back and counter-attacking with no wingers and two very slow, and I'm sorry, Tyro at the moment is slow, although he played okay, but two very slow front men. How are we supposed to break? If we're defending, how are we supposed to break? Down the left-hand side, particularly in the first half, poor old Marino was left on his own against Traore. Now, Traore, I'm not a fan of Traore because he has no end product. So I was not worried in that respect. But the fact is, Traore absolutely murdered him. But he was left one-on-one every time, because we had no width to come down. We had no Hudson-Odoi to come back and help defend. It was the same on the right-hand side. Unfortunately, Ola had quite a poor game, in my opinion. But nevertheless, he was left isolated time and time again. There was no pressing. There was one part of the game that particularly angered me, where Chris Wood went to press, and I saw it. You know, they do that to, you can't see it, but you know, they do that to bring
Push him up.
Yeah, to bring the other pressers with him. So he ran toward it. He did that, and there was nobody within 40 yards of him. Everybody was sitting back. So there was no pressing. There was no way we were going to score in that game. We just weren't. And then what he did then to compound issues, we went off at half time. I was disgusted by that display. It was truly a Cooper-esque display. And I saw Elanga warming up to come on at the second half. I thought, oh, at least we're going to have some speed on the wings. He puts him as a what
10.
forward?
A 10. Yeah,
10,
I put him in the
wasn't
10.
Yeah.
That's not his position. One thing we know, we love Elanga. We love his speed, his unpredictability, but he's not renowned for his finishing, and he's not particularly renowned for his passing either, if I'm honest. And yet he put him in a position where your number 1 and number 2 attributes would be finishing and passing. It made no sense. And then what was even more Cooper-esque in my view was towards the end, he was bunging people on. The system was non-existent. We were just basically praying that we were going to score somehow. Yeah. It was awful. And I don't right. Let me mention the MGW situation. MGW is a fabulous player. We all know that. We all love MGW. He gives us a lot, even when he's not performing at his best. He still gives us something. But that can't be the excuse. That can't be the excuse. For my mind, for what it's worth, I would have played the same formation with the wingers and just put Jota in place of MGW. That would have been it. One change. Instead, we change everything. And we have players playing in a system that they're not used to playing in. And it was an unmitigated disaster. And to finish off with, for people that are saying, and it's only one game, 3 wins in 18 home games is Nuno's record. Think about that. 3 wins in 18 games. Now, the City Ground used to be our fortress. Everybody used to be shit scared to come into the City Ground. Not anymore, they're not. And the crowd, the last 3 games, has been quiet. But they've been quiet for a reason. If I'm sitting at the ground, I cannot start getting excited and cheering the team on when they're sitting at the back doing nothing and the other team's in possession. It doesn't work like that. It's a two-way thing. We need to see some sort of attacking momentum to get us up. And that's what we used to do. Even when we were rubbish in our first season, we used to go for it occasionally and the crowd would get up. But that's not happening because the football is dire. Now, I'm not sitting here saying sack Nuno. I'm not saying I like Nuno. I like him as a bloke and I think he's a decent manager. But he's got to learn from this. He has got to learn that to play the way we played at Anfield is absolutely brilliant when you're playing at Anfield. That is not the way to play when you're at home to Fulham. Okay, so that's my brief thoughts.
I'm going to bring Joe in. Just before I do, just a big shout out to Jessica with the £5. She says, evening, gents. Shit officials, shit lineup, shit performance, shit as. She didn't say that bit. Thank you so much for the £5, Jessica. Joe, we had quite a lively debate on our WhatsApp group last night, all of us.
Yeah.
And you were a bit of a happy clapper on it all. So go on, what are your thoughts on what Ant has said? Or I'm kind of straw manning your position, but go on.
I'm going to open up. Obviously, I'm glad to have Ant back, and I'm really happy that things are going well. And I wish you all the best with things with your family. And I don't disagree with anything that you said in terms of how we lined up and how we played. What I was making a point in our WhatsApp group chat was I wasn't part of the call, but you obviously guys had a GOR session after playing at Anfield, and there were many videos going on about how it was an absolute masterclass that we set up that way and we kept Liverpool out and we didn't concede, and then we made the changes at the perfect time, and then we managed to sneak a goal and then hold on, and it was absolutely perfect. And now we've tried to do the exact same thing 2 weeks later and we've been undone by a penalty. and all of a sudden now it's all come out that all could have happened at Anfield if Diaz scores when he has that chance and he hits the post, or if Sells puts the ball in the back of his net. How are we going to come back into that game? I don't think we would have done. We would have done the exact same thing that we've done yesterday against Fulham. We'd have just tried to slap on every single winger that we've got and try and attack, and we'd then get undone. We'd lose that game 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. We went out with a plan, and I don't want to put it all on the fact that Morgan Gibbs-White was out of the game, but I do have to feel missing our best number 10, as well as also still missing our best number 6 in Sangare, and arguably Nuno's preferable number 8 in Danilo. He has limited options in how he's going to be able to pack up that midfield. And we all saw that it worked, playing 4 central midfielders in a 4-4-2. It worked against Liverpool, and we were all singing his praises and saying that he's the best thing since sliced bread, purely because we didn't concede a goal against Liverpool. But
is that the tactics you got to go into a Fulham game at home with? I understand what you're saying. I totally do understand it. But are you saying that was the right tactics for yesterday, and we just got unlucky with the penalty? Is that what you're contesting?
Personally, I wouldn't have chosen to line up in a 4-4-2 in that system. I wanted to try and play that game probably in a 4-3-3, because I didn't think that we could play. There's no one else that we can play in a 10. I know that some of the guys are going to try and chip in and say you can play Jota Silva in a 10. Jota Silva, I can tell you right now, because I've pulled up all the stats in front of me, he has played a total professional games. He's played 163 professional games. How many games has he played where he's either started or come on as an attacking midfielder? He's played 163 games professionally.
Zero.
And how many games has he come on where he's either 4? He's not an attacking midfielder. He has, in terms of his passing stats, as an attacking midfielder or a winger, he's in the bottom 7% for attacking chances created and bottom 2% for passes completed.
Yeah, no, I
he's
agree.
Not an attacking midfielder. He's a striker or a winger.
Hang on, Joe. I just put Jota Silva in there. I don't care who goes in there. Well, I'm more bothered about the system than the personnel. So I said Jota Silva. Don't take that as like, oh, it must be Jota Silva.
No, I'm not
anyway. Which is not. I'm not trying to say that.
What you don't want is Nicolas Dominguez as your left fucking winger, because he ain't a left winger.
No, he's not. He's not. So for me, can I just put my 2 pennies in then? For me, it was one of them.
I wasn't done, but yeah, sure.
Sorry, but because I want you to be able to retort to it, because like my argument is I understand what you're saying, but that's not the point. The point is he should not have gone into yesterday's game lined up like that. I think Nuno actually got it arse over tit yesterday. He should have started with the wingers. He should have started with a more attacking lineup and then resorted to that if that was the plan. But it so did not work. What Ant said, Dominguez, love him as a player, but you're wasting him by playing him on the left side, on the left wing. He didn't give protection to the fullback either, so that was pointless. On the other side, Anderson was just lost. The only time Anderson actually penetrated in the first half was when he actually came more central, played a more RCM position, got forward, and he had Aina on an overlap. But that's the only time Aina overlapped as well. It was all so wrong yesterday. So I understand what he's saying, Lemmy, that yeah, if it hadn't been for a penalty, we would have said a draw, whatever. But that was a wrong setup from the start. That's what I'm contesting. He should not have set up like that. And that has to be on Nuno. It has to be on Nuno how he lines up his team. It has to be on Nuno how he inspires his players and what he's thinking. Because you got Elliot Anderson, he was our player of the month of the first few games. He's made a huge impact when he's been played in a number 8 position. So why would you waste him out on the wing when we've got players who can play on the wing? So I would say the lineup was wrong from the start. In terms of the atmosphere, with what Ant said, this is something that's been carried on from last season. And I hate to say it, but Nuno's never really got the backing of a large portion of the Forest fans still. And he still has a lot to prove. But that stat that Ant read out, 3 home wins under Nuno, that's atrocious.
Out of 18 played.
Out of 18 games. We
haven't won since the 2nd of April, against Fulham. Fulham was
against
our last
Fulham,
time.
yeah. So that was the last time we won. Shout out to Lucky Robot, who who put that stat up because I bumped into Lucky Robot yesterday as well. Really nice meeting you, mate. Big Yates fan as well. So if you see any bias for Yates, I'll tell you why later on. But going back to the point, lineup was wrong. Atmosphere was shocking. For me, it was the worst performance under Nuno, home or away, that I've seen. I think that was.
I don't think the atmosphere's helped, by when the crowd come in and see the lineup. Yeah. I think the crowd immediately sort of go, ugh.
They do a little bit, but it's not the case that it should be up to the fans. Players have got to give us something to watch, and that lineup did not work. When they got through us, and especially in the first half, they got through us way too easily. It was simple. It was like knife through butter through that midfield. So the setup was wrong. The players were in the wrong shape, wrong positions. The lineup for me, the starting lineup was wrong way around. He should have gone with attacking players to start with, and then brought on the more defensive players.
Joe, have you got the possession stats? Because it looked to me like Fulham had a hell of a lot of possession.
Yeah. I would say they had at least 60%.
Yeah, they did.
I can give you what do you want the possession stats? 59-41. Yeah. RXG was 0.8 to their 1.33. We created 0 big chances to their 1. We had 1 shot on target to their 2. 14 shots for them, 11 for us. Joe, you wanted to finish? Yeah, it was a dire game. It was a dire game. Joe, sorry, you were going to say some more stuff. Go on.
Sorry, Joe.
Yeah, no, I don't want to come off like I'm just trying to argue and contradict for the sake of arguing and contradicting. And I thought that the way that we lined up yesterday was the right way to line up. Like I said, I think a 4-3-3 probably would have been how I wanted to line up. But I have to look at it and think we lined up that way against Liverpool and it worked. And we were all saying it was brilliant and it was perfect. And
I'm sorry. The idea against Liverpool was to not concede, hopefully get a 0-0, and if we have to get a goal, brilliant.
The middle out.
That's not how we want to be playing against Fulham.
Yeah. But if we're missing Morgan Gibbs-White, we're missing Sangare, we're missing Danilo. I'm just trying to think. I'm putting myself in the position that I have to put myself in if I'm Nuno and thinking.
Yeah, but Joe, was Sangare and Danilo available for Liverpool?
Morgan Gibbs-White was, and I put myself forward for the Forest Forum 2 weeks ago where I was going to talk about Morgan Gibbs-White and then it got cancelled, and then I was ready to do it last week where I was going to talk about Morgan Gibbs-White and the refs, and then it got cancelled. So this is the first time I've been able to talk about it since I was last on a show a month ago. Morgan Gibbs-White is our best and probably our only creative outlet whenever it comes to
only number 10
for goals. It's not even just number 10. He's our only creative outlet. Like we were saying,
what about Ward-Prowse? Is he not? Is Ward-Prowse creative?
Not on the same level as Morgan Gibbs-White. Nowhere near, in my opinion. Hudson-Odoi receives passes from Morgan Gibbs-White and then he creates chances. Morgan Gibbs-White gets the ball from the middle of the park and he creates chances, and we've seen it.
Wouldn't you have gone 4-3-3, Lemmy, like you suggested? Wouldn't that have been a better option yesterday? Because if we haven't got a number 10, we shouldn't be playing that formation, should we? And what he ended up going with was wrong. Go on.
Preferably, yes, I would have had Hudson-Odoi left, Jota Silva right wing, and then probably Chris Wood up top, purely based on how he's been playing so far. And then I'd be packing my midfield with, I'd probably have Yates in there, trying to fill in the role of Sangare because we don't have anybody else that can really do that. I'd have Ward-Prowse in there because he's the only person that's going to be able to take set pieces. And then I've had Anderson then there because he's our best player at the moment. I'll be packing the midfield with that. But if I'm struggling, and I don't know what his plan was, having 2 strikers, I don't know what the thinking was behind that. Whether it was trying to create a position where we were just going to be able to lob in crosses or throw-ins or some corners and just trying to get someone's head on it. It could have worked. It nearly worked with a one-use overhead kick. It nearly worked with Chris Wood tapping it in, but then he's offside by a single toenail. It could have worked, and that's what I was trying to say.
You're doing a lot of ifs.
Yes, and there was a lot of ifs when we were saying that it was a masterclass when we beat Liverpool. If the ball went in.
No, it wasn't. The result was 1-0. Yeah. The result was 1-0. The ifs didn't matter then. Why did the ifs matter now?
We weren't expecting to beat Liverpool at home. If I'm honest with you, we were expecting to beat Fulham, Liverpool away. We were expecting to beat Fulham at home. I personally, I think that most teams are scared to death of our wing play, and we didn't play any wingers. I'm sorry, it's just not on.
Let's bring Crypto in. He's been patiently waiting. Ben,
for a
what
change.
What was your take on it, right? And there's been a lot, and there's a few of us who have chucked it around who said it felt Cooper-esque yesterday. Shout out to Leicester, by the way, coming back from 2-0 and still blowing it in extra time. That's Cooper-esque right there. But what was your take on it, Crypto? And did it feel like a Cooper performance? And chat, did it feel like a Cooper-style low blocky game yesterday to you guys?
Yeah, I mean,
from the heart, Ben, not from ChatGPT. It's great.
there's lots of good points that everybody's picked out. I mean, the atmosphere was crap, especially in the first half. But the players need to make the atmosphere good. People aren't going to sing and chant if what they're watching is drivel on the pitch. And yesterday was just awful. I mean, the first half, we didn't look like scoring. We looked like we should go in at half time and concede the game, and that's it. I thought it was an awful half, probably Nuno's worst half under the management of Forest so far. I kind of agree with both Ant on some things and Lemmy. I think MGW is important. And I've been a critic like you have, Ant, saying that we need to see somebody to replace him. But yesterday, without him, it looked dreadful. But, you know, as Wolfie said, a 4-4-2 formation with Wood up front doesn't work. We know Wood needs the wingers crossing the balls in. Taiwo's not in form. Wood's too slow. For me, yesterday, you've got to blame Nuno. I know some people will say the refs are corrupt and they'll blame the penalty, which I thought was a bit soft. But Nuno got it wrong yesterday. And I don't know how he's gone from the last few matches looking so strong to going back to that kind of, you know, bored. I mean, there was no pace in the game. There was zero pace in the game. And people were saying it in the crowd. They were commenting on how slow the game was. So for me, it was dreadful, really. The second half was a bit better once Elanga and Cho came on. But that's how we should have started in the first place. And I just wanted to make one comment. I won't go into talking about the players, but how, and I'm not having a go at Yates. I thought Yates did what Yates did. But how Yates is the last midfielder on the pitch when Anderson, James Ward-Prowse and Dominguez go off before Yates is beyond me. I mean,
how he was the only midfielder towards the end as well. Like, how did that?
And he was on a yellow card. He was on a yellow card.
Like, what was that formation about at the end? He was just like, again, that felt Cooper like just chuck whatever's on the bench.
Used to do. That's what Cooper used to do, isn't it? When he used to panic at the end, he took everybody on.
Yeah. And it was just Yates left on a yellow. If he got sent off, we were screwed.
Yeah.
It just, I didn't like anything from what I saw yesterday.
But I saw Anderson yesterday when he got subbed off. I think it was about the 50th minute. He walked around the pitch with his head just down. Because, I mean, these are top quality players, and they're seeing them go off the pitch before other people. I just think Nuno's got it wrong. He's got it completely wrong. I am back on the Morgan Gibbs-White high now.
You just give me pure OCD with the reflection right in the
I've got to stay in this position.
Yeah. Just a little more to your right, mate.
Keep going.
Yeah, okay.
But another thing on the substitutions, about final substitutions, sorry, with Nico Williams. Aina definitely. Aina was blowing after 70 minutes, man. They should have taken Ola Aina off instead of
Moreno.
That was weird. That was weird as well. Yeah, that was weird.
I don't think it's Aina's fault. There's two.
No, it's my fault.
Nuno is the problem is when you don't play wingers, and I've said this before, is your wing backs have so much pressure on them. And I know Ant will say, you know,
correct. No, I agree.
They should.
No, I agree. 100% agree.
I thought you were going to disagree, but what I'm saying is, there's too much pressure on people like Aina. Aina is a fantastic player. You watch the amount of effort he puts in, but to go all game running all the way up and down the wing, I just think it's unfair on him. It looked way better when Cho and Elanga are on the pitch.
Yeah, and it wasn't just yesterday. So the last couple of games that I've noticed that with Aina, around the 70-minute mark, he seems to be blowing the most. So I wouldn't have taken Moreno off. I would have taken Ola Aina off. But the substitutions again yesterday certainly didn't work. But I contest. I think he got it arse over tip. The formation that he finished with was close to what he should have started with, but not in the fucking end, actually. Obviously, like in the end, we said it was like 4 up front with no shape, and Yatesy trying to hold it back. But we got panicky again, and we looked disjointed. We looked like we were just throwing trying to throw the kitchen sink at it. And we don't do that well. We never chase games well. It looks embarrassingly bad when we're chasing games, in fact, because teams just so easily manage to hold onto the ball and waste time and get to the 98th minute or 100th minute as they need to. But yesterday, from start to finish, Crypto said it was the first half was the worst. I think in total, that was the worst performance under Nuno, home or away. And I'd love to know if chat think there was a worse game, but I can't think of one. And
can I tell you,
we deserve nothing out of it. We deserve nothing out of it.
The thing that epitomised how shocking a game it was and how poor we were, and this is an admission of guilt, was that we were 1-0 down and the injury time came up and I went, oh God, another 8 minutes. Normally it's like, 8 minutes, come on, we can do this. Honestly, I had zero confidence. It was like, oh God, I'm going to sit for another 8 minutes.
I called it the 60th. When did they score? 50th. By the 60th, I said to the chat yesterday, I was like, we're not scoring.
Yeah.
You just couldn't see it. You just couldn't see it because why did he play two strikers? Because Taiwo was never going to last the whole match. I thought Taiwo looked good in the first half.
He did better. He did better. Yeah,
he put himself around. He looked a little more match sharp.
Well, at least you saw
neither
him.
Neither of these guys, for a while anyway. I don't know whether. I mean, Chris Wood's been around so long; he may have played in a 2 before, But as far as I'm aware, these two guys are mainly single strikers, and it's a different kind of game. Playing as a single striker is a much different game to playing as a pair.
I think at Burnley,
no chemistry, no chemistry. There's nothing there.
At Burnley, Wood used to play in a 2 off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I'm sure
that's why I said it. Burnley was it?
I think it was
Wood though. Yeah. The reason why Wood normally looks okay. I mean, he doesn't always get involved that much, but he scores every game. But Morgan Gibbs-White takes over. You don't notice Wood so much because Morgan Gibbs-White is always ahead of him. With no Morgan Gibbs-White there, Wood had nobody feeding him. He had nobody trying to help him. Morgan Gibbs-White is the person who, tries to play in front of him and the wingers go in and cross the ball and he scores. But without Morgan Gibbs-White there, he just looks like a ghost to me.
Well, I said earlier on, if you remember, that even when Morgan Gibbs-White, and listen, you've heard me call for him to be dropped before, so you know I'm no shill, you know what I mean? But what you do get with Morgan Gibbs-White, even when he's playing badly, is that non-stop energy, running, trying to close down, doing his best. I'll always admire him for that, because it means a lot to me, that does. And that was missing yesterday.
Yeah.
But that could have been, in my opinion, could have been made up by having Dominguez more central rather than out basically as a winger.
The thing is, Ant, last season, everybody saw that the biggest weakness was, maybe not having a different type of striker, but the midfield. And yesterday he ruined the midfield and he brought them all off way too early. Yeah. And that is a massive mistake. It was just desperation. It was.
They looked like, didn't they? They looked like they didn't know what they were doing.
I didn't even know what formation they were playing.
I just want to show you guys this. This was the average positions from the game yesterday. And again, you can see Wood it almost looks like a 4-2-3-1. Because Wood was playing in the 10. And again, I ask again, you may as well have put an Anderson in there. Dominguez can play as a high pressing 10, something like that. A Jota, I know Joe's saying that he hasn't played many games and Sai goes on about the Olympiacos game. But then you've got your wingers here. Your width is coming from Dominguez on the left-hand side and Anderson, who can play wide, but why was he on the right-hand side?
Yeah.
It's not his side.
Doesn't
Anderson want to play 10? I mean, I know he's a good 8, and we know
he's another option.
That's his preferred position. So why not put him there?
He said that in an interview.
If you're going to flip him the other way around, because we've seen Dominguez play on that right-hand side before. Yes, I still don't think that's the option. But why was he? And we've seen Anderson play on the other side.
Yesterday was a perfect opportunity to play 4-2-3-1 with Anderson in the 10.
Listen, I understand.
That's what I said. Just play our normal attacking style. Yeah. And I said Jota, but Anderson's a better shout.
Yeah, I think what Nuno's basically done with that is put Chris Wood in MG dub position pretty much. But I understand this. The only point I wanted to make on the Taiwo, because I think next week against a Chelsea team who are absolutely rampant at the moment, who've got a player who's playing totally out of his skin. We're going to have to play similarly to how we did set up against Liverpool. But I would like to see, Yeah,
That's,
Anfield second,
yesterday.
but play Taiwo in that number as a striker, and give us an option when we are going to have to break, because that's the only way we're going to. Because we can get out of their central defenders. We've done it before. Taiwo's done it before to them, but Chris Wood's not going to be an option next week. So I can understand giving Taiwo the minutes yesterday, but I do not understand playing Chris Wood in that number 10, which is basically what he did.
I wonder what Jess will have to say to that. I just want to show this heat map as well. Let me just bring that out there. This is our heat map yesterday. We're on the left-hand side. If you look here, we just had no touch. It's the weirdest heat map I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, donut.
You know, we played 4 central midfielders, yet we didn't have any control of the central part of the pitch.
They got through so easily when they were cutting through. I mean, it was just a simple pass straight through the middle. There was nobody there stopping it.
You could see it, couldn't you? When I was in a Trent end and I had a brilliant view of the match, best one so far this season. And
it was having
so glaring. It was glaring, wasn't it? You know.
What tends to happen is though that James Ward-Prowse almost pushes forward with Dominguez and Anderson going to each wing, and then Yates actually drops a lot. Very often, Yates will drop back as like a central back. He drops back a lot to help cover the defense. So all of a sudden, we've lost that middle of the pitch, and that's why the pace went out the game yesterday.
Yeah, but
he kept dropping back.
Yesterday again was Yates passing it backwards and sideways. That's all he did, and that's where I think he hinders the back too. Because
the thing is though, is I've got to the point where I no longer blame Yates. I blame Nuno for picking him, because we know what Yates' game is. Yates
know his limitations.
Tackles. Sometimes he wins tackles. He gets carded. He plays the ball backwards. That's his game.
But,
he's
a
defensive central midfielder, but that's not what we need.
But he limits himself because he can look forward and pass a ball. We've seen him do it. He can do it. He just doesn't trust himself.
He do it very often, though.
I didn't think he was that bad yesterday.
I don't think he was, but he still wasn't progressive. My point was he's not progressive, and what it does is, because I saw Milenkovic a couple of times actually push past him and run with the ball a little bit before he played the pass. I saw him do that a couple of times. I just think Yates being there kind of hinders the back too, because they're perfectly comfortable on the ball, and I'm seeing a lot more from Milenkovic than I had in the first couple of games in terms of his distribution. He can pass a ball and he can play with his brain as well.
I honestly don't blame any of the players yesterday. I don't blame any of them. I think they were all put into such an awful situation that none of them could shine.
I agree.
Yeah. Right. I want to move on to the next subject. Before I do, let's just catch up with the super chats. Greg, with the £5, thank you so much, buddy. Hi, all working tonight. You poor guy, man. I have to watch this later. Have a good show, gang. What a show, what an S show that was yesterday. Yes, mate, it was horrific. Thank you so much, buddy, for £5. I hope work flies by for you. And Jessica with the £2 saying no arguments. He was awful yesterday, talking about her boy Chris Wood. Danny's saying, Wolf, you don't understand why you're so against Sells. Well, undefeated in 5 games, but you still thought Sells should be benched. Don't forget how happy you were when Vlak came. That's because, one, we had Turner, and secondly, I've done a video on Sells. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. I think it was on Thursday.
Now Nicky's going to hate me, but I don't think that Carlos Miguel is necessarily the answer to our problems.
Yeah. I agree.
I think we need to go out in January and buy a top quality goalkeeper.
Kelleher. That's the answer.
Kelleher will be fine.
Kelleher's the answer. End of discussion. I've said Sells is. I think we got 2 number 2s. If I'm being, I don't want to get into a keeper debate.
I agree. 2 number 2s. I agree.
Yeah, but we got 2 number 2s. Kelleher would come in and be absolutely fine. Okay, I want to move on to this next topic.
Oh, we could get Leicester's goal. He looked useful yesterday.
He's good. Yeah, no, I've rated him. Mads, he's quality, but they'd want a lot of money for him.
When they get relegated.
Yeah, exactly. There's Nicky.
Sorry.
Just a quick shout. I'm going to shout Nicky out in a second because he's absolutely cracked me up. But we're on 80 likes. We got 350, 500 across the network. We should be well over 100 likes by now, guys. Please do hit the like button if you haven't already. And don't forget, you've got until tomorrow to get this double-signed framed Elanga Hudson-Odoi, one of a kind signed Forest kit. The link is pinned in the chat. There's also Insta wins for Einar, and I can't remember the other one. I think it's Moreno. exclamation mark prize, or click on the link that's pinned in the comment. There's still plenty of tickets if you want to get that one done. That one's a rare one because they were rarely seen on the pitch yesterday as well. Okay, before I go on, I want to
just say,
go on.
I was just going to say, I'm like one of these, gamblers who goes into a casino and wins a load of money on his first go, and then keeps going. I'm like that because I won a Taiwo shirt like first go I had. I thought, this is easy. I've not had one since. Yeah, a bit despondent.
And when you do win, shout out to the guys who took the pictures.
Whilst we're on the telly, can I mention we had an issue where I need to get into my mum's house, and we need to get hold of a professional locksmith, and we used a guy called Paragon Locksmiths, and they're really good. They came down straight away, very reasonable price, did a job very quickly and very well. So I'd just like to give them a shout out. That's Paragon Locksmiths. If I know it's a rarity, people need locksmiths, but if you do, give these guys a go. Could we put a phone number or something in the description? Would that be all right?
Yeah,
I can drop that website.
I'll put it in the description.
Yeah. Well, wherever. Okay. Yeah. So that's that. I just wanted to give them a shout out because they're really good.
Well, there's the link there. There's the link there in the chat. Give them a shout out.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant.
And also, I've just got to talk about Nicky, right? Our boy Nicky, we love him. Yeah, but he came out of the game and was wondering what all the kerfuffle was about. He was like, "What is going on?" He's like,
"Not that bad."
It wasn't that bad. And he was like, the undefeated streak continued. Turns out he went to get a drink. Was it, boys? I think was it the loo?
Yeah,
we'll say drink for politeness. We'll say drink.
He went and got a drink, and he came back, and let's just say he missed the whole incident and thought the game had just bored out to a 0-0 draw. So bless Nicky in the chat there. He's still going on today saying what happened.
I was with him. I met him post match and we spent a couple of hours together, which was an absolute pleasure. By the way, Nicky.
Wait, you saw him post match and he still didn't know?
Yeah, he didn't know. Well, yeah, because he saw me in. I didn't see the second half, obviously, so I didn't see it, and he didn't see it either. But no, I told him, but I don't think it really sunk in. But when we were sat around all the other Forest fans, yeah, I think he realised soon enough. But bless him, man. It was a great afternoon anyway. After the game was an absolute shit show, as we've already said. But it was funny meeting Nicky and spending some time with him. So shout out to Nicky, man. We'll do it again soon, bud.
You gotta love Nicky. Sharky back in the chat after his sunning out in Spain. Thank you for the £5. He says, "Thank you, Forest family, and number one for now." Be good tonight, boys. Ez's brother is in for a shock. He says, "You're a legend, Sharky. Thank you so much for the £5." Right, I'm dying to know your thoughts on this, Joe. Right, is Nuno playing against the opponent's weaknesses or our strengths when he's setting up matches? What do you think on that?
I don't think either, if I'm perfectly honest. I think he's come in. Obviously, he came in when he did last season, and he was battling a lot of shit that we had to put up with last season. So that was just the entire plan for last season was getting us over the line, making sure we don't get relegated, which he achieved. He's then obviously had the pre-season with us, and he's been setting us up. And I'd like to think, and from what I've seen, it seems like his main plan is we have to shore up our defence. We have to make sure we are not letting in the amount of goals that we did last season, whether it's from set pieces, which we were dreadful at last year, or if it's just in general, because we've always known, like, trying to set up and play defensively, especially under Cooper. Right, we'll play Cooper ball tactics and we'll play 5 at the back, and we'll try and just like stay in the game, and we'd still lose 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, 6-0. It didn't matter. We were getting absolutely thumped, and we'd play 5 at the back and try and shore it out. What I've seen over this last 6 games is he's tried to make sure that we are a team that's hard to beat. We've let in 5 goals, which after Liverpool, who's let in 2, we're the joint second best team in the league for defensive capabilities. We've only let in 5 over 6. We're tied with Man City. We're tied with, well, we're second best. That has to have been his number one priority, and it's clearly shown from what I've seen. Like yesterday, yes, we've all said it was very dull, the way that we've set up and the way that we played. We could have been playing until now, and I don't think we'd have conceded a goal from open play. We are so rock solid at the back, and I think that's just what he's been focusing on. We say that we want to try and play attacking football, and we want to play with wingers. That's how we played the first 2 games when we were at home against Bournemouth and Wolves, who I'd say are 2 completely inferior teams to who we played yesterday in Fulham. We scored 1 goal in both of those games. So it's not like we were going out and absolutely blitzing them like we've watched today when we've been watching Ipswich play at home and they've scored 2 goals. And we've not played like that. And we've not played like that under Nuno or under Cooper, I'd argue. We've never really gone anywhere and like lit the place alight.
Yeah, but the problem is, Lemmy, I agree on your point about the defence is getting better. I think the fullback we've got at the moment is probably one of the strongest fullbacks I've ever seen watching Forest. But what he did yesterday was when it goes wrong, and we criticised Cooper for this, and I think we should criticise Nuno for it, when it goes wrong and we go 1-0 up and we're sat back and defending, not saying low block, but we're so defensive.
Wait, did you mean that way round? When it goes wrong and when 1-0 up?
Sorry, when the opposition is 1-0 up, it goes wrong, and then there's I've seen who was paying attention.
I
thought you were coming up with some madness right now. I was intrigued.
No, we noticed. I just wanted to carry on.
He doesn't have, like Cooper didn't, and this is in the stats. Like Answer, 3 wins in 18 home games. He doesn't have the ability to change it round. It goes from right, plan A has failed, and then it looks like desperation.
Can I say also that I agree with Lemmy that we needed to improve our defence. But I think we kind of did that with personnel. You know, we brought in Moreno, we brought in Milenkovic. I don't think we need to start sitting back at home. You know, our defence, I've got a lot of confidence and faith in our defence. I think they can handle it. You know, it doesn't mean we have to have all the other 8 players back or 6 players back as well. Let them handle the defence. Let's attack. We need to attack. We've got to score goals. And if we get a goal,
I absolutely don't dispute that. I do know that we have to score goals, and the fact that we've not scored more than 1 goal a game is concerning. And I'm pretty sure that then completely backs up all of our like main banging on the drum throughout the transfer window of we need a striker. Everyone's first, second, and third choice of what we needed over the transfer window was a number 9. We all knew we needed a striker. Obviously, I was here saying that maybe Nketiah was the right choice. No one here agreed with me. Maybe I was right. Maybe I was wrong.
I would have been all right, Joe, with that. I'd have been all right.
I mean, I don't know if he's got any goals in the league for Palace, but Palace are
0.
Palace are doing absolutely dreadful. They've just lost to Everton. So, you know, we might all be here drinking our sorrows away, but at least we're not Palace at the moment. But we also... I was then getting lauded for saying that I didn't want Santiago Jimenez because I said, yeah, he's got the stats in the Eredivisie, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it in the Prem. Ever since he then turned us down, he's not scored a single goal, had no real creative output, and now is injured for the rest of the year. So, you know, you take some losses, but at the same time, I'm going to take some credit on that and say I was right.
Lemmy, do you not think we should have gone out and found a proper decent backup to Sangare as well? If if Sangare does get injured, and he has, because our backup CDM is effectively Ryan Yates.
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure when, I don't know when it was, because I've only been on maybe 1 stream a month. So it probably not the last stream, but probably the stream before that, where I was saying, right, Joe, who do you want as your top 3 positions to sign? I said a striker, a central defensive midfielder, and a centre-back. The only one that we've covered out of those was Milenkovic's centre-back, who I'd say has been absolutely perfect and what we needed to be able to pair with Murillo. We don't have a number 6. Now that we've lost Sangare for a good few months, hopefully he's going to be back before the end of the year, but I don't think that he is going to be. We don't have a 6. So that then for me rules playing a 4-2-3-1 basically out of the window, because I don't have faith in someone being able to run off and have someone sat in front of the defensive line.
So you're saying a 4-3-3, Joe?
I would play a 4-3-3, but I'd be playing Morgan Gibbs-White because you can bring up that. Well, you can bring up that graph that you had where there was a massive donut in the entire centre circle. Morgan Gibbs-White, as much as we despise Morgan Gibbs-White for some of the stupid touches and flicks that he gives away, he bloody covers that area of ground, and he never he's
does.
always
100%.
running for 90 minutes and he's covering that area of ground, which then gives you faith in any of the central midfielders who are sat behind him. So I feel like that's then our only outlet.
I would just say as well, I'm not forgiving Nuno for that setup. It was wrong, and nobody will convince me otherwise. For Fulham at home, that setup was wrong, in my opinion. But I will say to him, he is having to cope without literally our entire midfield, his first choice midfield.
Yeah.
And that's not easy. He's missing out Sangare, Danilo, and MGW. Considering that, we're doing quite well this season, but that doesn't forgive that performance.
Quick point on what Nathan's saying here about the ref. Atrocious, absolutely atrocious.
I'm assuming there's some sarcasm in that, Nath. Yeah,
one of the most stop-start games I've ever seen at the City Ground in general. The referee, I think he's only had like 4 or 5 games, hasn't he? Professional games in the Premier League. It showed yesterday, freaking showed. And just one more point on what Ant was saying about our defense. Yeah, I'm totally convinced that we've got, if not after Arsenal, I think we've got the best defense. I don't think Man City's is better than ours.
I said that. I said that.
Yeah. And then there was a couple of times yesterday where Murillo was left 1-on-1 and he bullied them. Oh, he was man of the match for me. I know you guys probably knocked off a point for the penalty. I didn't see that until today. Obviously, I didn't miss the replay of the game, but
still soft anyway. It's still soft
anyway, of course it was, but he was absolutely solid again. And I'm so confident with our back line, but we need to have attacking options that Nuno is confident in, and he just didn't play the right attackers ahead of that amazing defense yesterday. And I've got to agree with Crypto. If we're just relying on Yates as the only backup to Sangare, there needs to be at least 3 positions we cover in January, and that's striker, CDM, and goalkeeper. Those 3 positions I feel need to be addressed.
Can I just make a point on Ant's midfield pairing? I'm saying this genuinely. I'm not trying to wind you up, Ant. But do you genuinely think that Danilo is our best number 8? Because I
absolutely 100%. He's probably the best player at the club. End of subject. Move on.
No way.
He's fucking wonderful. He's absolutely
club.
Fabulous. Absolutely fantastic player.
Danilo is not bad. Danilo is not bad.
No, not really. I've just been a bit silly there, but I absolutely adore the guy. I think he's a fantastic number 8.
I think Anderson is way better than Danilo. Way
no, I don't.
Way better. No, not with you on crypto.
Way better.
I think Anderson's more consistent.
But
I think this is a good question.
Judging players is very difficult because we all have preferences of what kind and type of player we like. Some players can be brilliant in certain systems and not others. So it's very difficult to judge players, like say he's better than him. Because in some games I might say, no, I want Elliot Anderson to play there instead of Danilo because it suits him better. So I'm not like blinded to know he must play every game. But for me, our best midfield at the moment.
So you've got an agenda against Anderson.
Yates.
Crypto, are you saying that Anderson's our best 8 then?
Yeah, I'd also argue that James Ward-Prowse is better than Danilo. Okay, Danilo for me is not a starter.
Ooh, I don't know why I haven't got Danilo when he's
You're doing your agenda thing now, aren't you?
Yeah, he's got nothing better to do, man.
Let's go around.
You want to stir it all up so that you get all the, what's the modern term for it now? Not morons, but people like that, all those people on your side, because there's a lot of them about, and you can get them all on your side and following you on Twitter.
Little kryptonites.
I've seen your Twitter fan page.
Get your Anderson emojis in the chat.
Yeah, let us know if you remember. Put in an emoji who the best 8 is. I've got a poll out. Let me ask you guys in the panel, just out of these 4, Danilo, Anderson, JWP, and Dominguez, who's the best 8? So, Joe, who are you saying?
Danilo.
Ez?
Yeah, from what I've seen overall, Danilo. I'm going with that as well.
And
Danilo.
Ben?
It's clearly Anderson.
What I love about that is you're saying that Anderson's our best number 8, and yet you're also trying to say that he should have been playing 10 yesterday, which means you would have had an inferior number 8.
And goalkeeper. You mentioned goalkeeper at one point.
Well, the chat has gone 46% with Anderson, 36 with Danilo, 6 with JWP, and 12 with Dominguez. So the chat goes against the panel and goes with
It's
Ben
all right.
on that one.
The panel were going against crypto. That's all we were doing.
All right. I didn't even want to talk about that. But anyway, let's move on to the penalty. What we're going to do as well at the end, I like what it's so close to being called Brian Roy, 2 letters off. I like what you've done here. If you got any questions, we'll star them. We'll do a little Q&A bit at the end. So we'll bring this one up at the end. So put question or Q, and then we'll put some of those on at the end. We'll star them up. But let's talk about the penalty. Ez, was it a penalty? Wait, should we get Nikki on here to tell us if it was a penalty? I'll get a poll up, chat.
To be fair, Nicky's probably the best guy because he's probably watched it on telly because he missed it at the time.
He must be wondering.
I did think it was strange after the match, looking down to the A block and just seeing this like 5'7" guy going, yeah.
Right. Answer this objectively. Chat, I'm going to put the poll up objectively as well. Let's all take our red goggles off for a second. Was it a pen or not? Ez, pen on who was it? Him and I don't know who got fouled actually.
Pereira.
Yeah.
No, so I've got to put some context on it because initially we didn't even realize it was a foul. All we saw that he was down and he stayed down, and then they went to look for a check for a penalty. So for me, it wasn't even a foul to begin with. I didn't see it only showed a replay once on the screen and I missed it, unfortunately. So I've seen it again back today, but it's the softest one. It's the softest one you can possibly give, and to consider that that's VAR recommending the ref to go and check it, it's wrong. When that happens, then it's the game's fucked. Because if you then look at the other end and what happened, Elanga messed himself up with his overreaction.
We'll come to that. But let's isolate this.
But you can isolate it. But then prior to that, what about the Taiwo one? How much time did they spend on? It looked like he got kicked up the back from Bassi, wasn't it? As he was going for that ball. Because otherwise, I don't understand why he would have felt the way he felt. So
You're doing a crypto.
No, I'm not.
Shut
because
okay. Shut up. Yes or no?
The Taiwo one happened before their penalty, so I am going in some chronological order.
You're now fully doing a crypto the machine gun. We're specifically talking about their penalty.
I don't even know what match you're talking about.
Objectively in isolation, was it a penalty?
Okay.
Because you've also done an ant. You've said it was a soft one, and then you said no, it's not one.
No,
if it's soft, it's still a pen.
Right, and like I say, initially I didn't even realize it was a foul, but having seen a replay. It's a soft one, but it's a penalty, yes. It's a soft one.
Fulham fan.
So you sat on the pitch.
Okay. And what are you saying?
Well, is there such a thing as a soft penalty? Surely it's either a penalty or it's not. Surely.
We wanted
because you know why? Because I was going to say it was soft as well. But then I thought, hold on a minute, Anne. Let's be logical here. It's either a penalty or it's not a penalty.
That's my point. That's my point.
Right.
So what's your answer?
I don't know whether it was a penalty or not. At the ground, we saw nothing. It was the other end of the stadium, right? I'm in Trent End. It was at Bridgeford End. So at the ground, it was that. But they did play it immediately. They actually, and I think this is the first time I've ever seen this. They actually showed the incident on the big screen, which they don't normally do. And my immediate look was, I thought he would be done for pushing because he gently touched him. And in that case, I was 100% no, that is not a penalty. However, I've watched it again since, and I understand it was because he caught him on the ankle or something. Now, for me, that wasn't deliberate. I don't like it. He wasn't in a threatening position. For me, I would not give that. I don't like that being a penalty in football. However, with the way it is today, I think the way they always describe it is, the referee, the VAR wouldn't change it. However, on this occasion, they did. But normally, I think would say if it was given as a penalty by the referee, they wouldn't overturn it. If it wasn't, they wouldn't overturn it. But for some reason, on this occasion, VAR decided to get involved and send the referee to the side, which we all know means they've changed it. We all know that.
So I thought the rule was if it was. I thought the rule was if it was a clear and obvious error from the ref.
It is. That's why I say normally they would say nothing, go with the referee. But for some reason on this particular occasion, so I think we could feel ourselves unlucky in that respect, that normally that wouldn't be reviewed.
And I have no idea what you're saying, Anne. Is it a pen or not?
He wants a yes/no answer. He wants.
Yeah,
My
I've
end
got-
answer is-
I've
my-
got your
for me,
explanation.
it's
Your
not a penalty,
explanation has
but
covered
in the current
everything.
climate, it will be given as a penalty if it is brought to the referee's attention.
But do
and
you
he's
think
told
it was
to
a
do
penalty?
Not for me, no, not for me. But with my with my standards, no, it's not.
Sorry, I don't know what that
Ben,
means.
can you give me like a normal answer, man?
mean,
I've got
you're not-
nothing from these two.
You're going to Ben for a normal answer.
You're not going to
Bloody
like my
hell.
answer.
That's how I am,
gonna-
man. I'll
I'm
come
gonna-
to you. I'm saving you, Lemmy, for logic in a minute, right?
I'm going to give a Rob type answer, unfortunately. So, is it a penalty if you give the Elanga one as well? Because that was exactly the same thing.
No,
It's a
now
penalty.
you're doing
Nah,
the crypto.
we're not allowed to
Now
talk
you're
about
doing
it.
the crypto. Now you're doing the
Elanga one.
crypto.
Not a penalty. It's corruption. You've got to give the Elanga one. It's exactly the same. He kicked the back of his ankle. If you give the Elanga one, it's a penalty. If you don't, it's not a penalty. You can't have it both ways. That's my answer.
Okay, Joe, help me.
All right, I'll give you a straightforward answer, and I will caveat it that I do want to then talk about the Elanga penalty as a separate incident
You want to
afterwards.
do a Ben? You wanna-
No, I'm happy to
Alright,
talk
fine,
about
fine.
it
You
in
can lead in, we
individual
can lead in on the
isolation.
Elanga one.
Yeah,
Alright,
yeah.
fair enough.
In
Mar-
isolation,
if Murillo has put his hands in his back and pushed him away, and then stood on his ankle on a player that is going to be playing the ball inside the box,
And then he punched him in the face.
but I do see, and having not been one that got to see it at the ground, I watched it on the TV, and then I watched it when they played it multiple times on replay on VAR. Yes, I've seen those given as a penalty, and with taking my Forest penalty goggles off, it is a penalty. He's put his hands in the back and he's stood on his ankle on a player that is about to play the ball in the box. It's a penalty.
Yeah, but the same thing happened to Elanga, and it wasn't a
Which is then where I want to lead into
Alright,
the
go
Elanga
to
situation.
fine,
And then it's
yeah,
absolutely fucking disgusting that they've then not even looked at the fact that he's played through Elanga's ankle. I'm surprised that he's able still to fucking walk after getting absolutely clattered through his ankle from a player that's on the floor. He's been absolutely done. He's been turned over by Elanga, and he's then on the floor, has no idea where he is. He doesn't even know what postcode he's in. He's just trying to kick at where he thinks the ball is. He absolutely kicks through his ankle, and then all of a sudden the ref says, no, that's not a penalty. Okay, maybe he didn't see it. But how VAR don't see that he's absolutely swept through his ankles as if he's trying to do a low click on fucking Mortal Kombat. I don't understand how that is not seen and not even sent to the panel to then view it when you've sent them to the referee's panel to look at a push in the back, like completely independent, which is absolutely disgusting. And I don't understand how they can't then have both of those played side to side, which is where I just don't understand it.
The ref was after us all game. He was blowing fouls all game for Fulham.
Yeah,
It was terrible.
it was awful.
Yeah. All right. And seeing that you started off the machine gun, what are you saying to the Elanga one? Just put your answer. Actually, 47% of the chat say it wasn't a pen. Talking about the Fulham one, 29 say yes, and the 24 that's voted fence. I'm putting you in the yes category because you only took one lens of your Forest goggles off. That brings it up to what 53% said yes. Interesting. Go on then. I'll do an Elanga poll now as well. But what you saying?
Not clear and obvious then, was it?
Elanga, like everybody else has already kind of alluded to, for me, how is that not reviewed? He's definitely swept him. What killed it was his overreaction, which even made me think, just get the frick up. And if you actually, guys, if you have not watched the highlights, watch the extended highlights on the Fulham channel and listen to their commentators and what he was just about to say when Elanga did that little roll. It's quite horrendous, to be honest. I don't know what he was actually going to say, but it wasn't going to be pleasant about him. But that's what I think killed him, his reaction. If he hadn't reacted like that, they may have given it a second thought, but that shouldn't come into it. That should have been reviewed, and that should have been something that the referees clearly missed. There's no reason for Angle not to then go for the ball if he could have got it. He definitely had his ankle swept. So why that wasn't reviewed? But I will even go back to the Wanyi situation, mate. For Wanyi to drop the way he did, he must have had contact, and I don't know why.
Wanyi's always dropping with some injury.
Yeah, but he got clattered, man. He got clattered from the back, man. He kicked through him again, kicked through his ankle.
And then Anderson straight away after it, he got pushed. The hands were out. He got pushed. Taiwo was on the floor, goes through to Anderson, and he's pushed.
We should give a shout out to John. I tweeted his picture earlier. He's got a close up shot of Elanga's ankle getting kicked. So,
have you got it?
I'd like.
It's on my
give
Twitter,
you my honest opinion on it, right? And it just shows you how we all see different things at football games. Yeah, none of us are perfect. That was pretty much right directly in front. We're talking about second half, aren't we? When he was a few yards out, yeah, and he was on his own practically. Yeah. My first reaction was no penalty. I didn't think he touched him, but and I've not seen it since. I'm more than happy to look at it again and change my mind, because that was just my instant reaction.
Which one, the Taiwo one or the
Elanga one? But from what Joe's saying, I obviously just missed. For some reason, I just didn't see it. I trust you guys. I trust you guys not to lie.
Wait, one sec, guys. John, can you just tag official FFTV on it? Because all I can see is Collymore. It's a beautiful picture.
Yeah, it is. But just also going back on Ezra's point about Elanga probably tried to oversell it, which he probably did, which is why it's not given on pitch. Pereiro looked like he'd just been shot in the back. He was rolling all over for about 5 minutes, trying to claim that he'd been absolutely done over, and that's why the ref didn't give anything on the pitch. So why is then VAR intervening on that, but not on what happened to Elanga? VAR's not looking at him rolling over on the floor. You have to be looking at how the contact is, and he's got none of the ball. Player on the floor.
Pereira went all the way of getting the physios involved. You know, it looked like he was going to get stretchered off the way they were reacting. So they spent a good 4 or 5 minutes.
Maybe that's where we went wrong.
Well,
we didn't spell it out.
Sorry, lads. It was a penalty. 100%. If that's the incident, my God, that is a penalty.
And he's got to give it after giving theirs. It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
I've not heard Nuno's post-match, but was Nuno asked about the penalties, and did he have an opinion on it? I've not heard the first post-match.
He didn't want to talk about it.
He was very cautious. Obviously, he's already under a charge. So
all right, let me bring this up. Hold on. For those of you watching or listening on the podcast, sorry, but jump over to
now
YouTube.
You can see why I changed my mind.
So that's why. Shout out to John. That's his picture. Look, there is contact. The thing that annoyed me is when they talked about it on Match of the Day. And by the way, I can't believe I watched Match of the Day when we lost, but that's a whole other debate. They were like, it's not enough. Who decides what's enough? Can someone explain to me? Because I don't know what the penalty threshold is anymor. Who decides what's not enough? I mean, that he's hooked his leg and then he sweeps it. As you said, Joe, it's a Mortal Kombat.
He's rolling his ankle.
Yeah,
he's rolled his ankle. Yeah.
And it's
could have injured him.
The Murillo one. He's got to give it. If he's going to give the Murillo, personally, I think they're both soft because Elanga was kind of already going down, but I would have given neither of them.
If the Murillo one isn't given, then I'm not upset if this one is given. But the fact that one is and one isn't is just despicable.
And also, the defender's out of control, man. He's on the floor. He's literally just swinging his leg to try and get hold of a ball. You know, it's not as if it was a controlled tackle. So there's so many aspects that would incite for VAR to ask for that review, but it just smacks of corruption again. Because if you're going to look at anything that cost the game, it was those penalty decisions. It was a shit game from both teams. Neither team was any good yesterday, but it was one penalty decision that was given and one that wasn't.
It's a bit unfair though on Murillo because I thought he was man of the match.
He was for me. 100% he was for me.
Yeah, shock news. The referee on the pitch has made the right decision, and then someone off of the pitch, just like they did last week, has tried to intervene and say, no, I have a differing opinion. And then they've just cowered and gone with that.
Did they check what fan the VAR ref support? It's probably Fulham.
It's not about that, but it's just the fact that even last week, like, I didn't get to talk about it. But he's just immediately gone with the fourth official's opinion and given Morgan Gibbs-White a second yellow card without then going to VAR and saying maybe I should have a look at it a bit more. He's just taken his word for it, just like the referee yesterday did. He's been sent to the monitoring booth to say, I think you have to look at this. And he's just immediately pandered and said, yeah, it probably is a pen if you think that it is and you've looked at a video.
I've got to be fair, he did take his time. He took a good 2-3 minutes making that decision.
He took a long time. And
the whole thing was 4 minutes.
I'm suspicious of that.
Yeah,
if it takes that long, how can you decide one way or the other? Because you're uncertain. And if you're uncertain, you cannot give a penalty.
Yeah,
Not
and the
something
point
that's
was it took them 2 minutes to review it VAR before they sent him to the monitor. I don't know what you guys had on screen now. I'm assuming just check for potential pen.
That's it.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And then he took another minute on the actual screen where they were slowing it down. We could see what he was being showed. They were slowing it down, changing the angle. Then they were looking to see if he was offside. I don't know why they did that bit. It was just a complete nightmare. It's just too long. It's honestly, these refs are just so bad. They're so bad. It's just ruining the game. It really is. Anyway, okay, so we've discussed.
Sorry, just on that, right? Sorry, Wolfie. On that, every game that every home game I go to, I always say to whoever's with me, I just hope that this game's not decided by a dodgy decision. I hope it's, even if it means we lose, or what, you know what I'm saying? I hate games that are decided by decisions like that, because I get what you're saying. It's every game. If I come away from a game now and there's been no sort of dodgy decision given against us, I'm surprised. You know,
we would have still been undefeated, but we didn't really deserve it.
Let me ask you this: that penalty was in the 50th minute, something like that. I can't remember, 54th off the top of my head. Yeah. Where was the reaction afterwards? Then there was a 2-minute reaction, and then. You know, I can kind of understand why Nicky didn't know there'd been a goal, because there was no like impetus or urgency.
Exactly.
From the at all.
There was no. They didn't bring any fans. So they had no cheering when they scored.
No, they did.
Man.
They brought like 3 fans. They had to give to.
All they care is about the restaurants on King's Road and stuff. But yeah, and like, where was the impetus? Like, that has to go down as another mark against Nuno. And can I just add, we are talking about this game in isolation. We're not talking about the season so far. We're reviewing Forest 0, Fulham 1. We've given him flowers for Liverpool, the other games, etc. But there has to be accountability on this game. We have to call what we see specific to this game. But you can't be all happy clappy and think, well, because we beat Liverpool, this doesn't matter. You can't be like that. Yeah, but there has been a reaction like that, saying, yeah, well, I've seen some posts saying, if this was the other way around, if we'd lost to Liverpool, drawn with Brighton, and beaten Fulham, everyone would be happy.
Yeah, but there's too many if buts and maybes thrown into this, and you got to look at also the fan base, because Ant will agree with me. Yesterday, normally if we go behind in the game, and it has been the case in times this season, that the fans like straight away at the kickoff are like Gina players up and trying to get us back into the game. That didn't happen yesterday. It was so flat.
Nowhere. That's because there was no reaction from the side.
Exactly. Because it's something Crypto alluded to, and I agree, is a comment that I heard all around me. Everybody was talking about the tempo of the game. The tempo was awful. Yeah. It was awful. And it's
no expectation to get back into it.
And we've said this a few times. Like, a tempo is, you got to start with it. You can't build a tempo up in the game. You got to start with a high tempo, and you got to keep it up. But yesterday was all wrong in so many ways. But the fan base we weren't confident that we were going to get back into that game yesterday, because we saw nothing before that. The 50 odd minutes before they scored their goal, there was nothing, and there was very little afterwards. You know, we had a couple of decent chances, an offside goal. So that did cross the line. I need to clarify on that. That did cross the line, didn't it? Because they were just checking for offside. Yeah. And
it was
again,
offside. If he wasn't aroused,
I spoke to Matt Davis from Forest Focus yesterday before the game, and I said to him, I'm worried about this lineup, because I said, from my point of view, we've got these 2 wings that everybody's shit scared of. We've got a good size. We've got a fantastic defense. I want us to go out there and attack from the first minute and really put it on them. And that's exactly what we didn't do. We took a passive stance from the first whistle. And that gave the impetus and the confidence to them, for them to then come and attack us. And I don't like that.
I'm not saying all that, there was that one opportunity for Callum Hudson-Odoi. Him missing that was a guilty opportunity for him. That was his one chance where he managed to do his trick, and he got in, and he got in beautifully. There's beautiful skill involved in it as well.
And right centre goal.
His chance he's had, he was right in front of goal. It wasn't even from outside the box.
No,
but just
I think he wanted to put it in top corner, and he didn't need to.
Yeah, he just overcooked it. And on that point about not playing the wingers and playing the strikers, it's almost like a double criticism, because if you are going to play the two strikers, then surely you need the wingers who are going to potentially put the crosses in. You got Wood, who's quite tall. Okay, he's not the best jumper.
Exactly.
Like, he ended up doing neither nor, did he?
And Warren's put a comment there that I agree with 100%, like Spurs did today. And I mean, when Spurs went to Man United, I mean, we know that that's Spurs' modus operandi. We know that. But that, for me, that's the way. At home against Fulham, you should be attacking the game.
Yeah.
From the off, go at them. You got your wingers, pin them back, and hopefully we've got a great defense, so we don't need to worry about them breaking away.
100%.
You know, it's not like in the old days when we had slow defenders. We've got a bloody good defense now.
We're too deep. We're too deep.
Yeah.
Too deep.
I agree.
Miles
With those
too deep,
two
man.
centre
You know what?
backs.
It was so, you know where I was sat again? 4-4-2. It was, you know, in
Rigid.
our own what,
Yeah.
30 yards from goal. It was so rigid. It was unbelievable.
You know, what I was
Sorry.
going to say, one thing we should touch on is since Rob convinced Nuno to make his subs early, which is fair enough, I don't think the actual personnel are right. I think it's got worse since he started making early substitutions, because it almost looks like desperation. It's like he's not giving them a chance, but then he's bringing on the wrong people.
I mean,
When you 1-0 down, it is desperation.
He'd have put both wingers on and changed the formation and changed the tactics.
If he didn't do that straight away.
He's seen the problem. He's addressed it at half time.
Yeah, but instead he took Anderson off. It's like it's weird.
One point on that. Because I was right.
Because this links in into you. Shout out to Wazza for the £2. He says, "Well said, Ez." That's the first time I've ever heard that.
It's not the first time. We've got receipts. Thank you. Well,
thank you, Wazza, for that. Appreciate it. Gone on that point, as you were saying.
So I think it was the right sub, but he played him in the wrong position. It was right to bring Elanga on at halftime and not use one of your substitution opportunities, but he just played him in the wrong position. I think I think he had a game plan and he was going to play it whatever happened, whatever the result was, wherever way the game was going to go. But I just don't like Callum Hudson-Odoi turning into an impact sub. I think he's so much more than that. You know, he's so much more of a key player to us. But we shouldn't be relying on him to come off the bench, because what is that saying? Is that saying that he's expecting that either the game's going to be tight? Because that first half was just a chess match where we cancelled each other out. Apart from times they actually got
actually.
Well, there was definitely gaps where we were drafting through, because a couple of times when they did get through, it was just literally a straight pass through. It wasn't any skill, there wasn't any 1-2s or anything like that. It was a straight pass through and got behind our midfield. So the tactics were wrong. He started with the wrong players, but when he did bring Elanga on at half time, I didn't think that was the wrong sub. I just think the way he played him was wrong.
Well, the thing is, I was almost hoping that he'd go even earlier on the subs, about 30 minutes in, and put Elanga and Cho on, because you could see we needed the pace.
I don't disagree with that.
The lack of pace is what killed us off yesterday. We had no pace to counteract.
Because to be fair, we saw their manager do that last season. Obviously, they were 3-0 behind at the time, but he made very early subs. You know, you got to be brave at times. You got to understand that you've done it. You got it. You're starting that lineup wrong. And that first half was appalling. Like Crypto said, one of the worst I've seen, but the game in general was.
Joe, you're grimacing at that. You didn't think it was a
Marco Silva made those subs because they were 2-0 down.
I agree.
Yeah, you then realise we weren't. We were 0-0 and we never looked like we were going to concede a goal. So his game plan, I think, had to have been akin to Liverpool. Yes, it's not how we want to be playing, how we want to be playing at home. And I agree with that, because I didn't want to play in that formation. But it was working. It was absolutely working. We were never going to concede. They were trying to run around, and they were
never going to score either.
We were never going to score at Liverpool until we then brought on Hudson-Odoi, and then we brought Elanga on.
It's not Liverpool away, though.
It's a different game.
I'm just saying that is how he set up. He set up in that system, and it was working. We can't say that it wasn't working, because it was. We didn't look like we were ever going to concede in open play throughout the entire 90 minutes. We then concede that penalty. His hand is then forced. It wasn't forced against Liverpool because it was 0-0 and they were getting against them. The home fans were getting against them because they weren't creating anything. So they then had to change their system, and then Nuno was able to react to that. I think he was trying to do something similar.
My argument is he wasn't reacting. I think if you look at the timings of the subs and the players that he brought on, he was going to make those subs whatever happened, regardless of the game. So I don't think he was.
He was going to bring off all of his midfielders for all of our wingers if we were 1-0 up.
He was going to. Yeah, he was going to.
No chance. No chance. He was going to bring on Ramon Sosa, Jota Silva, Callum Hudson-Odoi, and Elanga if we're winning.
One at a time.
If Ramon Sosa is watching this, you should go and learn how to play football.
But no, I think he would have brought those players on anyway.
I think what Ez is saying is he was planning to do the same as he did against Liverpool. I think that's what Ez is saying. It didn't turn out that way.
Yeah. So he wasn't reacting to a game.
Well, you both
Let me make a quick point. I don't like this like Cooper-esque mentality of we've got the defense locked down, so that's a prime. If you did that and you never scored, you'd end up on 38 points.
And we never had that on the Cooper.
You win the game, you've got to attack. You can't
Cooper would line up with 5 at the back and we'd be watching a Cooper game. We'd go 1-0 down. I'm not fussed about watching anymore. There was no point watching under Cooper because we were always going to lose as soon as we went 1-0 down. Yeah, we're not playing 5 at the back though, are we? We're playing 4 at the back. A solid 4 with 2.
Defend all game, and that's
no, absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying, and that's not how we were set up. We were playing with 2 attacking fullbacks, with 2 central midfielders on the wings to then try and possibly cover for that. And then I was hoping before the game, when I saw the lineup, I thought maybe because we've got Anderson, who has been absolutely brilliant playing at a number 8, even though realistically he's more a winger or a number 10, but he presses the defenders. As does Nicolas Dominguez, who is probably our best midfielder at pressing defenders throughout the entirety of last season. I was hoping that was how we were going to be setting up at home. We're going to take it to them with 2 strikers pinned to the centre-backs. Those 2 players on the wings, they're going to be pinned to the full-backs, and they are going to push them. And that's what I said before the game, and I said that in our group chat. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. It didn't happen.
The opposite happened, Lemmy. The opposite happened. Their fullbacks pinned ours back, and they have got 2 very good fullbacks, Anthony Robinson and I think Tete on the other side. They've got 2. Yeah, Robinson was brilliant. He was their man of the match for me. And we've got one of the best crossers from the left side, I think, in the Premier League. And we did not see any delivery from Moreno yesterday. And defensively, I think that was his poorest game yesterday, to be fair. Too many times he was beaten and the cross was coming in.
He was isolated, though, against Traore, wasn't he?
So that tactic, whatever his tactic was, it didn't work because Dominguez was not covering him. He wasn't covering him.
But I think you're all missing what Joe's saying. In a way, you're agreeing. What Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, what you're saying. The tactic was that he wanted to get it to about 60 minutes at 0-0 and then bring on the wingers to phase 2 of the game.
We do understand that. What we're saying is the wrong tactic.
That's what we're
saying. We know exactly what his tactic was.
Joe was just talking about the tactic. He wasn't saying it was the right tactic.
Yeah, but we know that. Sorry, okay then. Yeah. So we know what the tactic was to play like we did against Liverpool. But we're all saying this is not Liverpool at Anfield, so don't play those tactics.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's what we're saying.
I'm just defending Joe because you guys are kind of strawmanning him a little. Huh?
Yeah, okay. No, we don't want strawmanning him, but
if I want to play an attacking tactic.
So, well, the majority of the fan base is saying the same thing, though. Everyone's saying it was the wrong tactic. It was the wrong lineup. But 4-4-2 did not work yesterday. And if you were going to play, certainly had the wrong personnel in those positions. So that's all we're saying. And it's like Wolfie alluded to, this is our right, our opportunity to say what we feel about it. And we're not going to be happy clapping. If it's something to criticize, we will criticize it, whoever the manager is.
Pat's saying it in the comments. Nuno just wanted to nullify them. Yeah. But that's not how we want to play at home against Fulham. Going away for Anfield, yes, you want to nullify them and hopefully catch them if you can on a break. Brilliant. If you don't, fantastic. That's not how we want to play against Fulham at home.
Just a last comment. I bumped into a few guys before the game, and everyone I spoke to about what they expected from yesterday's game was, we got to win. That was the only comment that came from everybody. We have to win. And they were right. And we did not look like for a second of winning. And we weren't set up to win, as far as I'm concerned. It was just so negative from the start. And if we're talking about how flat it's been at the stadium, Nuno's got to bear that in mind. And he's got to play the players that are going to get us out of our seat. There's no point that I got out of my seat yesterday. So,
Okay,
who's that down to?
let's move it forward because we're fastly running out of time. We're on 139 likes, guys, with about 350 of you on YouTube and then nearly 600 across the platform. Yeah, we should be on 150. We really should be on 200. It's free to do. Hit the like. Make sure you're subscribed. Crypta, I want to ask, and I want the chat's opinion on 2 players, James Ward-Prowse and Sosa. You alluded to Sosa earlier. What's been the initial feeling? Chat, let us know your thoughts on them after a couple of games. Now, Sosa hasn't started, if memory serves me right, in the Premier League, but we've seen a couple now of JWP. What's your thoughts on him?
I mean, the previous games, I thought Sosa was all right. I thought he actually looked quite good, especially down that left-hand side. But yesterday, I mean, you know, they have things called unforced errors in tennis. He came on the pitch, and his first 3 or 4 touches, he just completely lost the ball. He looked like he was playing football at school or something. It was, I mean, the fans around me were going absolutely crazy. I don't know what happened, but we'll just have to write it off as a blip. But in previous games, I think he's been quite good. He's fast. He can take people on one-on-one. He can cross the ball in. I did notice that yesterday, again, the fans were shouting for him to cross, but he seemed to be turning back a bit like Yates does and passing the ball backwards. And that was really frustrating people when we were chasing the game. Now, whether he's been told to play like that to try and get it into the middle of the pitch, I'm not sure. But he wasn't playing like he did in the other games. In terms of James Ward-Prowse, I've been pretty pleased with him since he came in. I think he's a bit more attacking than other players in that position. He's quite skillful. He takes people on. His corners are pretty good. I mean, the speed and curl he gets on the corners and set pieces. Yeah. Unfortunately, we hardly ever have anyone there to knock it in. But if people were on the end of that, we'd be scoring some serious goals with those free kicks. So there he is. He's taking a picture.
I think that's what killed him. I think that's what killed him.
Isn't like 5'9"?
5'9". He must be 5'2" in that picture.
Bastards, man. But
so, yeah, I'm seeing some hate for JWP in the chat, but I think he's been all right.
He has been, but yesterday it wasn't his best game, and it wasn't an impact on the game.
Had a good game apart from
but it didn't work with his link up with Yatesy yesterday. Just didn't work. We needed a more. I would have rather paired Yatesy with Anderson in that midfield yesterday. I don't think it was. Yeah, you're right. I have cursed him, but I don't think that was the right pick. But we've said a lot.
I think his hype. I agree with Sebastian. I think his hype's on off. He's spoilering for me right now, boys. I'll be honest.
If I speak, I'll be in trouble.
No, and speak because you he has Freuded a bit. I'm not gonna lie, he's Freuded a bit for me. Go on, Ant.
Well, first of all, Sosa was absolutely shocking yesterday, but I'm not going to get on the kid's back. You know, the system he came onto, the situation and the position we were in when he came on was a dead loss anyway. Okay. I'm not going to, I said to you, I'm not going to criticize any of the players yesterday because it was just awful management. So I'm not going to get onto it, but he was awful. He couldn't even control the ball. He couldn't do anything. He did something. He did something. And I thought, how the hell have you done that? That's so bad. How have you done that? So he was awful, but you know, he's a young kid, not played for us very often, not in his right position, not in the right setup, so he gets a pass.
Just please talk about JWP. Sorry, doesn't he look like Lemmy? Now that Lemmy's gone through it, Brian today.
No, Lemmy's not man.
More like Lewis O'Brien, I reckon.
If he grew a little bit of, the tush and the chin there, Joe, I'm seeing quite the resemblance there.
Nah,
he's a good looking
lad. Been Lemmy in that picture, his head would have been cut off at the top of it.
I have got a photo of me stood next to. It looks like I'm sat down, but yeah, stood next to Lemmy. It's horrendous. He's 6'5" and I'm 5'6", so yeah.
Let me just have one more look. Right?
Shut up.
There is a little Lemmy there, Chat, what do you think?
Why has he got
Let me just put our heads together like that.
Have you photoshopped this as by any chance?
No, but I am that pretty in real life.
No, it just looks a little photoshopped, mate.
I'm not Ant.
It looks a bit smooth. Do you wear blue shirts because you miss your blue hair?
Anyway, and you were going to talk about JWP. Sorry, interrupted you.
Yeah, I wasn't his biggest fan when he arrived. I gave out the statistics of his, previous season, and they weren't very good. But it's actually, he's done one or two things I quite liked, and I thought, yeah, maybe I can get into this guy. So I'm willing to give him a bit more time, but I'm not impressed so far. I mean, he's not made a massive difference so far.
Okay. All right. Let's go into this question. I promised I'm going to call you Brian right now. It just
How long we got?
Nostalgia. Where does everyone in the panel see Forest in 5 years, both managerial and recruitment? Who wants to kick this one off? An interesting question.
Crypto.
Where's everyone plan to see Forest 5 years, managerial and recruitment? I mean, the recruitment's it's got to improve, hasn't it? It's been okay, but we need some positions in there, such as striker, etc. And the key one to just keep getting better throughout the next 5 years. Sorry if I'm slurring my speech. I've drank like a bottle of Captain Morgan. Managerial, I don't think Nuno will be here, to be honest. I think Nuno will be long gone in 5 years. If we want to keep getting better,
he's here for? What's your prediction?
Maybe a year or two. I think if I see Forest at the moment as this year we can become an established Premier League team again. Like if we can get top 12, for example, we're pretty much secure in the Premier League.
Whoa, you said top 10. Why are you going back on what you said a week ago?
Top 10, top 12. It's still secure. It's still secure, isn't it?
Receipts, bro. Come on, man.
I think we'll grow from there. Realistically, I think within 3 years we should be pushing for some of the European places. Whether that's under Nuno or not, I'm not quite sure.
I mean, yeah.
No chance.
Okay, well let's do it together. Let's get Joe and Ez to answer this one together.
Oh yeah, God.
So Joe, you say where you think we are in 5 years, and
he's crouching down. Look, you can see
he's got to be. It's got to be. When I saw it, I thought, no.
The pages.
The funny thing about that is they're wearing the same size shirt as well.
Go on, Joe. Where are we in 5 years? And Ez, who will Nuno still be there?
In 5 years, we're top 10. I think we are top 10.
In the Premier League, not Championship.
Yeah, we're Premier League. We're top 10. We're taking on a Brighton model. We're bringing in South American players.
I know you have to say it.
Are we or are we not? Are we bringing in like the South American wonder kids and like just developing them to a level where all of a sudden every top team in Europe wants to have a piece of them? I think we are. We're there.
Think we carry on buying Corinthians soon.
We are. We are
in a relegation fight, mate. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that.
This season, I think, is going to be the turnaround season where we're looking up instead of looking down. I don't think we're in any position where we have to be watching.
That depends if you stood next to Ez or not.
No, I don't think we have to worry at all about how Ipswich, Southampton, Leicester, Wolves, Everton are doing this year. We have to be more. And it was said in our group chat today when Ipswich were playing against Aston Villa, and we saw that Ipswich had equalised and made it 2-2, and someone said, "Oh, for fuck's sake, they've gained a point back." And I went, "Well, that's a point. That's 2 points dropped from Everton, from Villa." We're now.
I was like,
but realistically, I think we're completely out of that bottom like relegation scrap. We are fighting now for fighting in the top 10. I think we are in that fight for being in the top 10, and for 5 years' time, I want to be pushing on Europe and be playing European football. And I think we are in a good position, especially this year, to be doing that within 5 years.
Well, position-wise, I'll have to agree with Lemmy. That's what I'd be hoping for. Being the team that we were when I was growing up, a good, a competitive team. We would have been in Europe if it hadn't been for those corrupt Scousers ruining it for everyone else. We would have gone to Europe during that period as well. But in terms of management, I mean, unless you're a Pep or a Klopp, who's here 5-6 years, So for Nuno to last that long, he will have been doing something right. as much as we criticised today, I have seen a lot of positives about Nuno as well. If he can sort this home form out, get us back to being solid, which, to be fair, is something that Cooper did manage to do, and he had the fan base behind him. If Nuno can get the fan base behind him, and the only way he will is being consistent with his team, his selections, and our results. I can see him being here in 5 years' time, but that would mean that we're progressing in a way that Lemmy's just described there. Because if we are going in that direction, then how can you sack him?
I do agree that we're on about. Sorry, just I want to interject because I know that we're obviously on about performances and how we're doing. I know that a lot of us have probably got rose tinted glasses on because we've been undefeated for so long. So then all of a sudden we've lost and we're all of a sudden a bit down. But if we compare ourselves to the last 2 seasons, last season we were currently 6th with 3 points and a -2 goal difference. And the year before that, we were 19th. 16th with 3 points and a -2 goal difference.
Wait,
and
sorry,
the year
say that
before
again. Start again. You've confused me. Were we 6th or 16th?
We were 16th with a -2 goal difference on 3 points.
Well, we should have kept Cooper, man. What did I miss?
We were on 3 points, 6 games, 3 points, -2 goal difference. And then the season before that, we were 6 games, 4 points, -10 goal difference, and 19th.
Yeah, but last season we beat Fulham, so you know.
We also
Yeah,
lost.
I don't pay too much attention.
We also had Morgan Gibbs-White.
Yeah.
And
Okay. And where?
For me, I mean, it's a really difficult question to answer. Obviously, providing nothing drastic happens negatively with us, despite yesterday's shocking performance, I'm feeling a good place with Forest, generally speaking. I think we're definitely heading in the right direction. And in 5 years, there's no chance Nuno's going to be here. Nuno, listen, there's an old adage in football that it's your home games that gets you the sack. Losing home games gets you the sack. 3 wins in 18. It can't continue like that, let me tell you.
And do you think he makes it to the end of the season?
Possibly. If we improve our home form, we've got to improve, we've got to start making the City Ground a fortress again. Anything less than that, I think he'll be gone. I think Mr. Marinakis is very ambitious, and I don't think he'll hang about. So it's up to Nuno, isn't it, to stop playing stupid fucking tactics and actually play tactics that make sense to people that know anything about football.
Okay, just a quick one then. Well, let's say hypothetically our form flips and it's our away form that we're getting results in and our home form shocking. Isn't that still not good enough for you? Or is
no? But what I'm saying is that
we have to get the home form.
That most owners of clubs, when they're sitting in the home ground and it's full, they don't want to hear booing.
Yeah,
they don't want to see bad.
You got to get the majority of.
You can get away with it a little bit more, can't you? I think we'll accept. You know, a 1-0 loss away from home is not the same as a 1-0 loss at home. I think we all feel differently about that.
Yeah, good report.
So it does make a difference. So he has to improve. But nevertheless, there's no chance he's going to be here in 5 years. No manager, apart from, as we've said, Klopp and Pep, is going to be around in 5 years' time. You look at the Premier League in 5 years' time, I would be surprised if any of those managers are still there, because that's the way football is. They don't last.
Yeah. But the caveat is, if we progress in a way that both me and Lemmy hoping, and I'm sure most of the fan base are hoping we will start becoming, competitive.
Yeah, but then they'll want a bigger manager. That's how these guys work.
Probably more players. Yeah.
If we started getting towards the top 4, for example, they'd want a more experienced European, they want a bigger name manager.
Well, no, then Nuno would be wanted by some other clubs. You could argue
and we'd let him go. And we'd let him go because we'd want a bigger name manager.
Capello.
Should I give you my red hot take?
Anyway, hang on, let me just finish a little bit then. So I'm very hopeful that in 5 years' time we will be a regular, established top 10 side. And that means you'll always be in a position to attempt for Europe at some point, yeah? That's what it means if you're top 10. I think we'll still be waiting for a fucking new stand, because that ain't coming anytime soon. I'm disgusted. All right?
By the way, that looks horrible.
And we're still be looking for a number 1 goal. And we'll still be looking for a number 1 goalkeeper.
Oh my
And a
God. How
striker.
did it look in the ground? Because it looked horrific.
It
From the
looks like a
pictures
weird
I saw.
angle. It's almost like
Yeah,
it's
it's not flush on the pitch,
No,
is it?
I couldn't see it from inside the ground because I was in the Trent End left
Oh,
side.
yeah, in the
so I
gym.
couldn't see it.
Yeah, we
But
couldn't
it
see it
looked
either.
shit from the outside, I could tell you.
And it
I
wasn't
said,
open. It wasn't open either, or nobody bought
was
a
it not?
seat.
Was it not?
They
I
hadn't
still
finished
don't
it.
see
They
how
had to cancel it.
I still don't see how we're going to make money on that. 3 million quid, 180 people. How many years is it got to be before that gets paid off? Well, it's not supposed to be here for years.
Yeah. Okay, let me give you my red hot take. Forest in 5 years will have Marco Silva as them. Within 5 years, we'll have Marco Silva as their manager.
Stop pushing
Or
that.
red hot.
That's just wishful thinking.
No,
Forest,
please, I'm not-
clip me, guys, clip me.
I can clip
Right,
you.
that's
Has he got them into
You
Europe
weren't
yet?
lying.
Let's see if he can get Fulham into Europe first. Before
His relationship with Marinakis is too good that they
yeah, I
won't
know,
end
but
up.
I could have a
end up
relationship with
on-
Marinakis, man. I mean,
Okay, let me just
that's
catch up
amazing.
on the super chats. Well, you can read this one, Ez. Thank you, Jessica.
Question, Fres. Will that be a bridge? No, unfortunately not. Which I'm guessing that means that you will be, Jess. But no, unfortunately not. But I will be in. I don't know where you're based, but I'll be in London in the following weekend, though. But for other reasons.
Is this fucking Dateline or what?
Sorry,
I don't know.
sorry.
I don't know.
I
Jessica.
can't waste an
It's
opportunity
Tinder,
to meet Jess, can I? I can't waste an opportunity. Listen up, Laurie. I can't waste an opportunity to meet Jess.
Just be
Jessica, what
careful,
are you
Jess.
saying?
He's a
He can't
bit of
be
a
at the
horn dog
bridge.
as our head on the sly. Just
I won't.
He
I won't
can't
be there.
He can't meet at the bridge because he's meeting Laurie that weekend.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly. Thank you so much for the £2, Jessica. And
Catch up with that.
Sharky with the £2 says the Godfather's already looking for a new man. I think it means the Greek father.
talking about
He's
Ez.
convinced. I'm not. No,
No, he's talking about me. Yeah.
Hey, that wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't
I've
surprise
heard no
me.
rumblings. I've heard no rumblings
No,
whatsoever.
no, neither have I. But it wouldn't surprise me because you've got to have something in plan. If it goes starts going wrong, you've got to have somebody there for you.
Yeah.
We've seen what happens if you don't, haven't we? You know what I mean?
Who knows? Cooper will be available in a couple of weeks again.
Ten Hag will be available in a couple of weeks.
Ten Hag, yeah, maybe
Oh,
tomorrow.
Southgate.
Southgate's
Might be
available.
tonight, actually.
Yeah. Don't say that, son. Do not say that, man. Oh my God, bring me Cooper back. All right, we've gone way
I don't
over
think Ten
schedule.
Hag
Way
ever work in
over.
England again.
Way over
I don't think
schedule.
he'll work in
There's the
England again.
likes.
Can,
There's a
can
lot
I
of
just say, shout out to Chris. His comments have been comments of the night every single time. You're an asshole, mate, but I love you. Your comments have been hilarious tonight. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to all the chat. As always, you have been amazing. We're back tomorrow with a video. For the life of me, I can't remember what it's on. Make sure you watch it anyway. Thank you to the panel. It's been fiery but not aggressive tonight, which has felt a little bit weird. I don't know.
Because we're
Interesting.
tired. That's what it
I'm
is.
like this, or do you prefer the tempers flying? We've been winning and undefeated, and they've been more angry than with the loss. So I'm just confused. I don't know how you guys in the chat feel. We will see you guys tomorrow. Please do hit the like button if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. Come on, you Reds.
You ready?